It's a brand new chapter in the story of the oldest profession. Canada's Supreme Court has struck down key laws regarding prostitution, giving the government a year to implement new laws. So what's the 21st century response to the ancient practice of sex for sale? In a moment, Lorna discusses possible next steps in prostitution law. Then, meet two former sex trade workers with very different perspectives. One believes that legalized prostitution provides greater safety and societal control. The other believes it's plain wrong and that new, more effective laws are needed to discourage it. This is Context, a look at life beyond the headlines.
Technically speaking, prostitution is legal in Canada, though on December 20th, 2013, the Supreme Court of Canada struck down the laws that surround the practice of prostitution. The federal government now has 1 year to put forward new legislation, and the big question is, where does the law go from here? We have Julia Beazley, a policy analyst with the Centre for Faith and Public Life, which is part of the multi-church body, the Evangelical Fellowship of Canada. She's done extensive research on prostitution in Canada. So from your perspective, what are the consequences of this Supreme Court ruling?
So if the government fails to act within the next year, that's to say rewrite the laws that we have or to write new ones, we will effectively have a situation where prostitution is decriminalized in Canada.
Already there's not going to be prosecutions is what the worry is. There's not going to be charges because the law is likely not going to stand. The chances of the government saying, oh, too bad, this was a court ruling, how much is that a reality?
I think that that's unlikely. There have been some statements coming out of the government that suggest that they are going to take some action. So we have been working hard and will continue to work hard to urge them to follow a certain model of law. So research shows us that between 88 and 96% of women in prostitution are not there because they want to be. And they would get out if they felt that they could.
You represent those 80% plus who are not in the business of prostitution by their own free choice.
Yeah.
How do you justify those numbers? It's a staggering amount.
It is. It's really difficult. And, you know, I do respect that there are women who say they have freely chosen to prostitute themselves, and I can't discount that. But I also can't discount what I have learned from my friends who call themselves survivors of prostitution, who are connected with many, many other women who are either still prostituting or who have exited. And their stories are echoed in what the research tells us, and that is that the vast majority of women in prostitution are not there by choice. And where they are there by choice, it's by what we would call a constrained choice.
Okay, but the argument, the legal argument, and all 9 judges agreed with this, that Canada's prostitution laws had to change because it was not constitutional to say you can't protect yourself, you can't check for the Johns, what they've got, what kind of background they've got. You haven't got a place to do this in. You can't live off these avails. What about that this was an unfair approach to giving women the protections they needed?
So the challenge was that prostitution itself is legal. Selling sex is not illegal. But the court found that these laws that were in question prevented women from making choices or taking actions that might mitigate that danger. The court did note in their decision that prostitution is inherently dangerous. But the issue was that the laws were preventing women from taking choices to mitigate that danger.
Okay, and those are constitutionally protected, those choices.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have to come up with something else. And you are a proponent, many people are a proponent of the Nordic model. We've got a link up on our website, red light, green light. Help us understand what this Nordic model that many would like to see in Canada.
Okay, so the Nordic model has 3 key components. The first is a legislative one, and they criminalize the purchase or attempted purchase of sex, while decriminalizing those who are being sold. So criminalizing individuals who are prostituting actually creates barriers to their exit. And it also further entrenches the inequality and marginalization that probably got them there in the first place. The second feature is a robust national strategy to ensure that exit supports and services are available to those who want out. And the third was a public awareness campaign that helped the public understand the rationale behind the change in the law. So in Sweden, the message was prostitution is violence against women, it's sexual exploitation, and it's fundamentally contrary to equality between the sexes.
We're now going over to Sheldon Neal in the audience.
Thank you, Lorna. I'm here with Ruth Ross with the Christian Legal Fellowship, and she has a comment with our guest.
The average age of entry into prostitution is between 14 and 15. So what do we do with the young and vulnerable, with those that are runaways, with those that are homeless, young men and women, young boys and girls that are exposed to this and do not have the protection of those perhaps around them? That's
a statistic from the Elizabeth Fry Society that 14 and 15 is the entry point going into prostitution. Absolutely unacceptable. I don't know any girl at 14 who knows how to make a career choice, that this is what she wants to do, sell sex, sell her body for sex. We've got another comment from the studio audience, Shay and Vidyata.
One of the biggest questions of 2014, as we're discussing here today, is how will Parliament react? And they can either do absolutely nothing, and therefore what happened in Supreme Court will just carry on and take place, or Parliament can rewrite the legislation. And as we're discussing here about the Nordic model, this is really the opportune time for Canada, for Canadians, to learn what the Nordic model is and to not just let this go lightly.
Thank you so much. For you at home, we want to know, what should Canada's new laws on prostitution look like? Should it permit the practice with an emphasis on safety? Should the law focus on punishing Johns, or should there be no laws at all governing prostitution? Please send your answers by phone, email, Facebook, or Twitter. It's a powerful and it's a loaded issue. We want to know what you have to say.
When we return, two former prostitutes with very different opinions on the questions facing Canada's decision over sex for sale. Stay with us.
I am here with this woman in a setting of prostitution, and it has nothing to do with them. It is about me getting what I want right now, right here. And I don't really care about this person.